and welcome to the Resources Rising Stars Conference here live in Brisbane for our first conference of 2025 for our From the Helm series. I'm here now with Darren Gordon, the Managing Director of Centaurus Metals, a familiar face in our series here. Darren, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Grady. Great
now,
to be back.
nickel has been a hard story over the last year. Price has come down quite a bit. What's the latest? What's 2025 started like for Centaurus?
Look, really busy for us right now. We're in the middle of doing some value engineering work to try and improve on our feasibility economics from last year, and that's coming along well. Should be able to deliver that by the end of March. We've got some licensing still to come through. But really the key for us this year is going to be funding and getting the project in a position where it can be funded, and we're talking to a number of strategics around that and hopefully get some traction through second quarter of this year.
Now, the share price has been on a run recently, up 16% in the last year, and that's in a depreciated commodity environment.
Yep.
What do you think investors are seeing in the project as much as you are optimistic about it?
Yeah, look, I mean, the nickel backdrop's been tough, but I think we've been pretty resilient as far as what the project is, and we've been able to demonstrate that it still is a project that works even at these low nickel price environments. And so I think there's still a really good supportive base on our share register that can see where we're going. And I think that's enabled us to sort of maintain a bit of a price and keep everyone a little bit happy, even though we've got this really depressed nickel price environment.
Yeah, well, it's needed. Nickel is needed. I think the market's definitely got it wrong. Of course, there's oversupply right now, but nickel has a vital role in the EV transition, and with EVs becoming more and more prevalent in our society, what for our investors who don't know what nickel has, the role of nickel in this movement, can you explain to them in basic terms what nickel does in the EV transition? Yeah,
look, I mean, in these NCM batteries that we're looking at for the EV sort of revolution, nickel is the biggest part of that. So probably, 80% of what you put into these batteries is going to be nickel. Mm-hmm. The more nickel, the denser the battery, the further that you can go. So, there's LFP batteries in China, but I think if you're looking into Europe and North America, which is where probably the market has stalled a little bit, that's where we see the NCM batteries being the strongest, and we feel like we're a big part to play in sort of providing supply into that market.
Yeah, it's really interesting because obviously it's called lithium-ion battery, but lithium only makes up 6%, so I think not having the naming rights of a battery is pretty tough. Huge news recently, the Jaguar Nickel Sulfide project being selected to join the Brazilian Climate and Ecological Transformation Investment Program. What a mouthful. It is a mouthful,
yep.
But what does this set up the project for, and how much of a milestone is this?
Look, it's a really interesting program. It's got over $10 billion of capital sort of sitting behind it, a number of very big banks that are supporting the program, but it's an initiative rolled out by the Brazil government, supported by the Brazil National Development Bank. And so we've had to go through a whole set of criteria to be accredited for that program, which I think is a major tick and sort of just does credentialise what we're doing and telling the world at large that, this is a project that's got all the right criteria about it. But then rolling on from that, it's us being able to present our project to this sort of range of potential funders, in addition to where we might be looking from a strategic point of view, these sort of debt equity mix coming from different banks. So we feel like that's just another pool of capital that we can now look at. And I think at the moment we're one of 9 projects that are in this program. So it's pretty cool.
It kind of puts you on the map as well. For anyone who may not have known of the project in the area, it definitely kind of puts the world's eyes on Centaurus right now. Year to date, we are seeing a recovery in the price of nickel, albeit only 1%, but there's kind of talks that the supply is running out, which is good moving forward for companies like yourself. What's your outlook for the price, given demand for nickel is expected to triple by 2030, given the uptick in EV demand?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think the demand side is probably the biggest piece of the puzzle. There's been a huge amount of supply coming out of Indonesia. That's obviously kept the price depressed. There's some talk of restrictions on the mining and the quotas that could go on in country. Philippines are talking about reducing or limiting exports of nickel ores going into those sort of processing in Indonesia. So all of those things are playing on the supply side, but I think most importantly, it's like where that demand's going to come from. And whilst I think everyone can recognise there's been a hiccup on the demand coming out of North America and Europe, we feel like that's going to sort of have a bit of a catch up, and if that comes through, then you are going to see higher prices. Reality is, we need higher prices in order for projects to get up. Importantly for us at Centaurus, our project works in this price environment. We just got to get it funded.
That's exactly what's important. In a depressed price environment, if a project can work, then that's what investors want to hear, right?
Yep.
Now, you are undergoing an active drilling campaign at the Boy Novo project, or part of the project.
Yep.
What have you found there? What are the grades looking like, and in comparison to other areas of the asset?
Yeah, so look, this project's in the Carajás Mineral Province, which is one of the most prolific copper belts around the globe. You've got big mines of Vale, Salobo, Sossego that are there. So we're in the right part of the world. Up until the end of last year, we'd only drilled 26 or 27 drill holes. The last 5 of those drill holes were the best holes that we had into the project. Got an intersection there of like a bit over 5 metres at nearly 8% copper. So we're now coming back in. We've got a new drill program that started about a week and a half ago that, we'll go and do some more work, follow up those targets. And, the thing we do is we drill holes, we'll do some downhole EM surveys. That'll give us more information, hone in where we need to drill and, hopefully make a big discovery there.
Yeah, so copper as well on the horizon.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what investors want to see. You're playing right into the green energy transition here. So I think putting the name out there in that area is really important for investors to understand that you're playing into that real theme that is not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, and I think the other thing is Centaurus is just getting a reputation in Brazil. Yeah. We've been there 15 years. We've been in the Carajás now for sort of over 5 years. So we see a lot of assets we think that we can do a good job with, multi-commodities that are playing into this EV space.
Yeah, diversification of revenue too. That's what
Hopefully,
investors like to see. Now, finally, what news flow can our investors expect over this year?
Yeah, look, as I mentioned at the outset, we've got to finish the value engineering work that we're doing now. Should be by the end of March. Hopefully the installation license for the Jaguar project comes through in the next couple of months. My fingers are crossed that it's a bit earlier than that, but I'll say in the next couple of months.
Be conservative.
Yeah, being a little bit conservative. And then the big piece is the funding. From the Boy Novo side of things, we should have progressive drill results coming through there. And we're always looking at new projects, particularly in and around that Carajás region. So, fingers crossed we can pull something off in that regard.
Well, Brazil is the word, and Centaurus Metals. Thank you for joining us today, Darren.
Thanks,
we always love chatting to you, and thanks for joining us for our From the Helm series.